from the board, you're asking us to, where's the ordinance at? I think that would be part of what the I guess,
just hearing that we have 239 vacancies and that we still have not been able to fill those, and to be able to get through that and can't make compensation decisions. I just feel that if that can't be done, then let's slow it down.
How do we ensure, as we move forward with a new plan, that we don't make some of the mistakes we've made with the old plan, with the current plan? Unmanageable, untravelable, crowded schools in certain districts or in certain corridors.
The safety, and not just in terms of dense people, population, but like, what are we gonna do for hospitals, right? So if I have an emergency, where are we building another hospital? Are we building another grocery store? I mean, I've been going to that Kroger for 25 years, and I go in there and the shelves are empty. So to me, the growth is not planned.
So we don't need to keep rolling plans on top of plans. Let's just figure this thing out, folks. Just figure it out. But we got to look at what's going on right now.
Development is good, yes it is, but it has to be good, sound development. It cannot be just any kind of development. That can't be acceptable. It cannot.
And I want to make sure that everybody understands when I say an attempt to rectify something that we don't have our hands around in Henry County. And that appears to be a lot of things that we don't have our hands around in Henry County. I think just the fact that there are some things that weren't addressed in this means that you probably need to say the same thing you said earlier when you talked about the salary report, that you need to look at it. Because if you're going to have something in place and you don't even have code enforcement to make sure that it works the way it needs to work, then it's not going to work. And sometimes we have to, as we say, take baby steps, but you have to be very careful because you can't continue to take baby steps.
Doesn't it have a time that things have to stop?
Yes.
Doesn't it have time?
So, as it's written, so the original code, it didn't have that teeth in it because it wasn't tied to the noise ordinance that we have now. And it didn't specify that events would need to be shut down by 10 p.m.
So I guess when we're talking about requiring an establishment to have security or police, then we need to require all businesses that sell alcohol. Because you can go to Longhorns and have a drink and still and still drive home. So,
RZ 21-35, Alliance Residential Company of Atlanta, Georgia, requests the rezoning from M1 Light Manufacturing and C2 General Commercial to RM Multifamily Residential. This is a rendering of the buildings that the applicant is proposing on the property.
And so we have a choice between a warehouse or apartments.
That you are well aware of those cities in our county that have the most populated apartment complexes. These schools, which I will not name, have the lower ratings according to the Governor's Office of Student Achievement, as well as more discipline issues. If you want to improve schools or protect additional schools from having a negative connotation, do not approve any additional apartments.
Because I know you can't turn them away because our schools are overcrowded. I know you can't turn them away without being sued because our roads are overcrowded. But crime, like you said, our 2 fire trucks are in the shop. So if these places catch fire, they're on their own. It's like we're not thinking long term. If an actual event happens, these reviews speak for themselves.
When this original site plan was proposed, I spoke in opposition. I'm still in opposition of this proposed development and all apartment developments in Henry County. We have grown tired of apartments. We are tired of apartments in Henry County. We don't want not one more development of apartments built in Henry County.
Because we do not need this in our neighborhood. And I don't know what's going on in District 5, but I'm inclined to believe that we are the only district in Henry County. I thought we had 5 districts, not 1, and we keep getting District 5. Why? I don't understand this. That's a no. We don't want that.
Good
evening, Boyd. Thank you again.
You got 10 seconds, or you will be asked to leave.
But this line here is C2, I believe, and all of this back here is M1.
So it'll be warehouse and commercial.
Yes, ma'am. You could.
So it'll be a warehouse with more trucks tearing up the roads, even worse than what they are. And this has a lot to do with what? Because we haven't done an overhaul since 2018.
I would say so. Yes, ma'am.
And so that's why it's important that we do an update
Yes, ma'am.
on our comprehensive plan so that we can get a better control of how we move forward. So legally, where does that put us if we, County Attorney Nancy, where does that put us if we were to deny the zoning? Many of the issues that we have now on Jonesboro Road was, you know, prior to several of us even being here. And so, you know, now we're in a position that we have to redo the ULDC to try to get a grip on something that probably should have been done some time ago. And we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation today, whether we go with a warehouse or whether we go with apartments, whether we take the chance on being sued and not having any say if they win, or having say now.
Me just coming in a few weeks ago, I know I've had a lot of conversation with, and a lot of questions and a lot of conditions that I want to put on the project. So, but I have to weigh what could potentially happen and what is more than likely to happen against what can we do with the best product we can put in these parcels of land that we have. The best way to have combated this would have been to change the future land use map years ago. So this is like coming into a project, you start something that is due in 2 weeks, but the rest of the team has been working on it for 4 years. But our roads are horrible at this point. I do move to approve this project as it is with the 30.
Okay, so I got a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. There's no further discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
RZ 2136, Hetch Walker Jordan PC of Stockbridge, Georgia, requests a rezoning from C2 General Commercial and O&I Office Institutional to MU Mixed Use for property located on Jonesboro Road. This is the proposed renderings for the apartment use.
Any questions from the board?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Greg Heck, 205 Corporate Center Drive, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281. We appreciate you entertaining TPA residential today. Oh, I don't.
Okay.
We
Okay.
don't have
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
We don't have to present.
Okay. Okay. So do you? Okay.
It's whatever the chair wants, but I just want to note that it's not a public hearing. It's listed on the documentation or what have you for someone to speak in opposition or against because a public hearing's already had them.
So did you have? Okay.
I do want to address one thing. So prior to me to becoming commissioner, and from what I heard from a lot of my neighbors and residents of District 5 this week is, and this is what I was told as well, so I was told that there will be no apartments past Firehouse Subs on Jonesboro Road. So I would like for you to address that. I know it was said that there was an agreement, but I think we need to address that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So if there was some type of commitment or promise against high density going past Firehouse Sub, then why wasn't that changed in your ULDC?
Obviously, during that time, there was another commissioner in that district. Did they meet with staff and the applicant on this property?
From the time that we got approved, recommended approval from the Zoning Advisory Board in January 2022 until August of 2022, when we had the Board of Commissioners meeting, we attempted to reach out to the commissioner who was over this district at that time, and we were never able to get a conversation or a call or a face-to-face meeting. To answer your question directly, there was no direct communication despite a lot of attempts to have a meeting or a Zoom call.
There were calls, there were no allowed meetings.
So there were conversations had about this particular development then?
And to clarify, the conversations went through staff, not through any commissioner directly at that time.
I have to admit, it is a good-looking product. I'm sorry.
Nancy, if we deny this, what is the legality against the county?
Like I said, the process is the same, what have you. If you all deny it, they have the right to file a petition.
So I want to make sure I'm clear. It is currently zone what?
It's zone C2, and a little piece of it is O&I, which is office institutional.
So explain that.
We've talked a lot tonight about the future land use map in the ULDC, and I think we need to take a step back because I think we're interchangeably using those two terminologies together, and they shouldn't be. So your future land use map is your guide. Your Unified Land Development Code is your development regulations. What Mr. Kirk said is future planning. And when you ask questions like, well, what is the legality? Don't worry about that part. The part we need to be most concerned about is, can we control this type of development? So if you all no longer feel that mixed use is appropriate for this area, then you table it or you deny the request, and then the attorney will determine what happens. But I want you all to understand, future land use map isn't present. That's what's called future. And Commissioner Lewis, in all due respect, you've had every zoning tonight, every request that has been tabled. And I think we've got
handled.
Well, I can't speak to that, but
okay,
I'm just saying tabled.
So do we follow the ULDC? Is that what you're saying?
So you have the future land use map is your guide. That is simply that. It is a guide.
Okay, Commissioner Lewis, it's in your district. Call for a motion.
Right, but I think we need to table it, and here's the reason why. Hold on, please. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm going to say it. I'm not opposed to what you're doing. I think you have actually presented a very probably the best mixed-use development I've seen in Henry County. I haven't seen many that I actually agree with. So.
Even the ones on Jonesboro?
Even the ones. I'm not against development at all. I'm not. So my motion is to table it until the April 18th meeting.
Okay, so I got a motion to table to the April 18th meeting. A lot of things were approved before many of us got on this board. And apartments are, you know, I have several of my staff here at the county that live in apartments. So, you know, we all in favor for tabling it. Okay.